Dhananjay, one of the notes that you've written in the recent past speaks about
Yes.
you've spoken about earnings a lot in this conversation. One of the notes that you recently wrote spoke about the dichotomy in earnings. Now, my question
Yes.
is, do you reckon that will continue? Part one. Part two, therefore, irrespective of the market scenario, in pockets which are showing earnings strength, do you think that you would be overweight?
Yeah, so the thing is, the dichotomy that we have talked about is the fact that you have a sort of a contraction in earnings for the non-finance companies and manufacturing sector companies, whereas the banking sector has actually been fairly robust as far as earnings is concerned. And we try to look at why is this happening, and essentially the banking sector is kind of dependent on what happens to the wider economy and the wider set of companies. So what we found is that the banking sector essentially is showing positive earnings and fairly good positive earnings, largely because there is a traction as far as credit growth is concerned. So I think now the credit growth is essentially happening in a slowdown scenario, and basically it means that the cash balances that corporates had earned because of the episodic rebound last year for in terms of profits and operating cash balance, etc. That was resulting in lower demand for credit, and you also had cash deposit rising. So the CASA increase for the banks also arose because of that. Now, what is happening is that as the operating cash flow is falling, companies are going to banks and actually borrowing. Even in the manufacturing sector, we are seeing across industries. And of course, banks are doing retail lending. So basically, banks are seeing better than expected growth in terms of credit because the operating matrix of companies are actually worsening, and also the fact that the interest is rising, they had the buffer of a better CASA. So going forward, what we are saying is that you can't have this dichotomy sustaining, because if the operating profit sort of continues to decline and the profits contract, then sales growth would also decelerate for the non-finance companies and manufacturing sector companies. So that's how the slowdown process happens, and then the demand for credit will also slow down. So I think even for the banking sector, this rise in profit might be episodic, I would say. So I think hence I would say that the banking sector profitability, etc., is surprised positively. It may
Mhm.
last for a quarter or so, maybe December quarter, and then we'll see a slackening in credit demand also as companies scale down their operations as the profits continue to sort of be on a declining side. So this is a kind of convergence that we're looking at.